Mr. Chair, members of the board, as you've seen over the course of the last 12 to 18 months, the Budget Department has put together a quarterly financial indicators report that's been made available to you all and the public that's really helped you stay abreast. Particularly during COVID, it's been really nice to have that report. But I think one thing we found over the course of the last year is that we can do even better in terms of the regularity of that report. And when it comes out on a quarterly basis, it's better than what we've done historically, but some of that information is stale by the time we aggregate it all together, publish it, put it in a packet. So this brief work session today is to introduce you to a new product that the team has worked very hard on that really is a real-time dashboard that's available 365 days a year. So it's here in a work session form for you today because you will no longer receive that printed report, the bound, stapled piece, but that you will be able to go on and look at this information anytime you want. It's published today on Chesterfield.gov, where we're very proud of the product. It has more information than what you've historically seen. And again, it's updated on a very, very regular basis so that you have that information as close to real time as we can get it. So I think that is an improvement. So you will not see in the future submission of a report under this title to you. So we wanted to have this work session not only for the community to understand the resource that's available to them now, but also to, we don't want to get 6 months down the road and people wonder, where are those, indicator reports that we used to get? So no need for that in the future, but wanted to walk you through it a little bit. So I'm going to have Shane Hill from our budget department come up and just drive you through the dashboard a little bit and show you the functionality and the breadth of information that is presented to the public.
Thank you, Mr. Harris. Mr. Chair, members of the board, Dr. Casey, just to kind of give you guys a little timeline of where we started versus where we are now. Back in 2018, at the behest of Mr. Holland, as Matt had mentioned, we did start that quarterly financial indicators report that was printed and given to you guys on a quarterly basis. As Ms. Natalie Spillman had mentioned a couple months ago when she came to present to you guys the Stratus dashboard, we were in the middle of converting that printed report to this online dashboard, not only to be able to give a broader reach for our citizens and to be able to get this in the public eye as much as we could, but also, like Mr. Harris said, to be able to update this more regularly than just the normal quarterly report. So without further ado, I would love to give you guys a test drive.
Is this on the website?
Yes. And
Can you tell me the address to?
Yes. So you can access it through the Budget Department website. There's the Key Financial Indicators Report link on the side, or you can also go to chesterfield.gov/4152, and then that's going to be key-financial-indicators. And our plan is also to provide the link as well through the Blueprint website that we have as well for the budget and from the main budget website.
I think simpler for people at home, if you just go to chesterfield.gov under search and just type in KEY, it's going to give you the ability to click on, and that's a lot quicker, I think.
Yes.
I'm a simple guy.
And Mr. Cowles is exactly what I was going to say. Sometimes search engines can get you there faster than typing. And the other thing, too, is we're going to work with our business associations and other community partners that do e-news. And again, I like for that to almost be a perpetual link at the bottom. And there'll be like a little section for a couple of key county links, of which this would be a good financial economic link.
So yes, again, this is updated on the website and is published as of this morning. It's live and ready for the public view. The main page is this Key Financial Indicators dashboard site. We also did include past printed PDF copies of the reports that we have presented in the past down at the bottom in case somebody wanted to go back and view those historical reports. So when you first land on the page, I suggest using full screen mode. It's a little easier to see some things and the graphics look a little better just to be able to sort through this. So this is the main page of the dashboard. On the left side of the screen, it gives you an overview of what the dashboard is for those who may not be familiar with it. Again, it tells us that we are remain committed to our strong fiscal stewardship and our transparency to the public to be able to provide these different types of indicators that go into a lot of different ways that we view these indicators to be able to inform both our current and future programs and services and resource allocations that we do through the budget process. In that description as well, it does present the public with some acronyms that are most commonly used for this report if they're not very financially savvy, but this does also give you information on when it was last updated so that way you're able to see. On the right side of the homepage, you actually have navigational buttons. We decided to kind of basically subsect this report into different main topics. So we want to look at travel statistics, consumer spending, our favorite topic, I think, employment and the labor force to see how Chesterfield is faring, an economic pulse, finance and budget statistics, housing and real estate, as well as community and demographics. You're able to just click on these buttons and it'll take you right to the pages where you need to go. So with that, we do like to include a monthly update. This topic is basically just something of interest, whether it be a hot button issue going around at the national level or just an interesting data set that we would like to provide the public when we're looking at our economic conditions. So for instance, with this publish, we actually wanted to look at vehicle miles traveled across the United States. This kind of just gives an indication on how consumers are traveling around the nation, even amid the pandemic. And just a quick observation, as you can see from that line graph, we still aren't quite yet to where we were before the pandemic happened. And just to kind of interject as well, an interesting tool that you can use is the focus mode, which is in the top right corner of each graphic. It actually blows up the graph to be able to truly see it clearer, to see those data points on an easier level. Moving forward, like I said, you also do have navigational buttons in the top right corner to be able to go back and forward as well as to the home page if you so desire. But the next one was travel. Again, like I just mentioned with the vehicle miles traveled, travel data really does give us an indication on how these consumers are moving, which would also affect, the economy as in occupancy rates, as well as flights and just consumer travel interest overall. With these topics, we have subtopics. So we have the consumer mobility report that you all have seen before, commercial flights and passenger counts, which I think is an interesting one. This actually goes into commercial flights at the national level as well as TSA passenger counts at the national level, which kind of really, again, give an indication on how people are reacting to the pandemic, how comfortable they are with traveling throughout the United States as a whole. So as you have just seen, I clicked into a subpage. There are little buttons at the top that also get you back to the main topic, or if people want to just cycle through, they can also click these buttons at the top. So for instance, I think one of the most interesting data sets that we've included now is Amtrak passenger counts. This is at the national level as well as the Virginia level. The Virginia Railroad Transportation Association puts out Amtrak reports on a monthly basis with the 4 state-maintained routes that go throughout Virginia. And again, it kind of brings it closer to home to be able to really see how these citizens are moving. Some other interesting topics that we've also included are occupancy data. So we have information on our occupancy tax collections year to date, as well as occupancy rate comparison between Chesterfield and the surrounding localities. Another interesting one is park visits. So this is on the national level. We are looking into state level as well to be able to get, again, closer to home data to be able to analyze that. But this one, I think, is just, it's really cool, in my opinion, to be able just to see visitors to different national parks and monuments around the country. The one being closest to us would be the Blue Ridge Parkway, to be able to kind of get information-wise how things are faring, even during the pandemic. And then the last one in travel is the consumer interest. We decided to kind of pivot to that consumer sentiment mentality to be able to see how people are interested in different types of transportation and lodging. So using Google Trends data, we're actually able to view how often these search terms are searched. So for instance, we've broken it down into cruises and flights, as well as Airbnb and hotels, just to kind of give an observation on how things are really affected by the pandemic and where we can kind of look towards things going in the future. The next topic is consumer spending. It taps into how and where consumers are spending their money. We do this through sales tax collections and taxable sales, vehicle registrations and sales, the national retail sales level, as well as restaurant industry statistics. For the sales tax collections, we do provide that fiscal year over year percent change in sales tax collections, local sales tax collections, in Chesterfield County compared to our peers with 100,000 residents or more. And we also do include a taxable sales receipts classification, top 5 by business classification in Chesterfield and Virginia as well. On some of these pages, you will see different types of buttons that allow you to cycle through different levels, some of them being national, some of them being state, and some of them being Chesterfield County in itself. The vehicle data that we have provided in this report is the registrations and sales. So again, you have 2 different options where you can search through Virginia or you can look at Chesterfield. There's also little cards on some of these slides that give you an overall total as to how we were faring this year versus last year. And then the other one, the other indicator that we have included in the consumer spending is restaurant statistics. So we really wanted, with the COVID-19 pandemic, to be able to see how the restaurant industry was affected. Unfortunately, we weren't able to get things at the Chesterfield level for seated diners, but this, through Open Table, we are able to see how seated diners have changed throughout the year. So as you can see at the very beginning of the graph, during COVID, when restaurants were shut down, there was nobody in indoor dining. However, throughout Virginia and the United States, up until recently, as of Monday, April 26th. So that, again, just goes to show you how quickly we were able to get data into this data set, that seated diners in indoor dining has started to, as an uptick around the state and the nation. So again, moving forward, employment and labor force, I won't spend too much time on this. We are super familiar with this. The unemployment statistics that we have gives an overview of unemployment rates with Chesterfield County versus its peers, as well as the initial weekly claims in Chesterfield County. Labor force statistics, we have that on the national level. We have the employed labor force data at the Chesterfield County level, and we have a labor force to jobs ratio as Chesterfield County as well. Again, all of these different types of statistics just go into our analysis when looking at employment and unemployment. With the new, one of the new interesting data sets that we've included with unemployment that may not be familiar to you all is JOLTS, which is the Job Openings and Labor Turnover Survey. Again, this is on a national and regional level, so we're really able to see when hiring, layoffs, and quitting were really affected during the pandemic, as well as the number of job openings that were also listed throughout time in this data set. So moving forward into the next subtopic is just national economic conditions. Again, I won't go super deep into this, but these are just national statistics that you guys have seen before, such as the weekly economic index, the consumer price index, percent change in GDP, tightening standards on consumer loans, as well as the monthly consumer sentiment that I talked to you guys about last time I was here. With this, again, there is an option to change it to the state level, so you'll see different types of indicators that pop up when you change that. One of the new ones being the number of bankruptcies filed in Virginia, as well as new weekly business formations in Virginia. Again, I think it just goes to bear repeating that the main proponent of why we move this to an online dashboard is the ability to grab data from the most current point that we could. So for instance, as you see in the new weekly business formation, we have data from the week ending of April 17th, so just about a couple weeks ago. Moving forward as well, we have the finance and budget section of this dashboard. This dashboard utilizes mainly the treasurer's monthly investment report on the left side of the screen, as well as it goes into long-term liabilities, our tax collection rate, the net change in fund balance, and the percent spent with the Chesterfield businesses. And then I think this is one of the most interesting and favorable topics of this dashboard is the housing and real estate. Again, I think it bears repeating that Chesterfield County has had an extreme growth in housing across the county in comparison to the state as well. But this one gives you the information regarding single-family home sales, condo townhome sales, the median sales price for those single-family home and condo townhome sales, as well as building permits. So again, we're really able to bring all these different types of data sources into one easy location, not only for our benefit, but for the public as well. So with going into that as well with housing and real estate, it is quite a longer page, but it does provide information on office vacancies and retail vacancies in Chesterfield County. So again, with office vacancies, just to kind of point out, we see that kind of trend going down as well as retail vacancies, just kind of giving an indication that buildings, brick and mortar stores specifically are being filled at a higher rate. And then the last main topic that we go into is community and demographics. So this goes into primarily social service recipients that you see in the bottom right corner. It goes into our county workforce with the number of vacancies and our turnover rate. It goes into school enrollment, the amount that we have dedicated to tax relief for the elderly and disabled, as well as population statistics as well. And with that, at the very end of the slide, we give all of our references to where we get this data in case people would like to go out and find some more information. However, I do think that just with this data set this dashboard as a whole, we are very able to get a lot of different types of information just in one convenient location. So with that being said, I will take any questions or comments you have.
Any questions? Any questions or comments to that matter? Outstanding job. I love the budget and finance page, by the way. So I'll be going back there
Thank you.
shortly.
Thank you.
I love the cash flow data
Yes.
there as well.
Yes, correct.
Fund balance, et cetera. Thank you for that.